secret Frumpyland, where I have no rules. I am excited. I am jealous of Tommy's friends and his Nintendo, and his dad likes him.
I take it Tommy wasn't class playwright?
Stop true crime bragging.
Comment section of My Favorite Murder episode somehow makes its way into the show.
Unfunny joke somehow makes its way into this video.
Is it my best work? I don't know. Does it deserve to be shit on creatively?
Instead of acknowledging how childhood memories can be inaccurate, Rick gets all defensive as if Beth just dropped an Everything Wrong with Frumpyland video.
I like how he uses this sin as a means of deflecting criticism of his channel. He slyly slipped in a claim that people who rebuttal their videos are just defensive. The reality is that we're not defending the shows and or movies, we're simply pointing out your stupidity and mistakes. If you don't get the difference, that's on you.
Or collapse the quantum tesseract.
Adding the word quantum to... No. Wait. Adding the word tesseract to... No, that's not it either. Okay, got it. Combining two sciencey words and adding a random verb to create a phrase that sounds like Rick did something impressive. Cliché.
Also, that's not a cliche.
Drawing a portal on a mobile door.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Based on the trees alone, it's pretty obvious that Rick ripped off Dr. Seuss. And no one gets away with that without a sin in.
Discount Jeremy makes a Dr. Seuss reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
God, you're right. I'm a terrible dad.
The terrible dad then goes on to throw himself from the cliff that won't kill him rather than pushing his unsuspecting daughter to her non-death. And that would have really sealed the terrible dad title into place for eternity.
What the f was this sin? Okay, there might be somebody who wants to claim that it was just a joke, so before I explain the content of the sin away, this sin could also just be for the joke not being funny. Anyway, Rick's goal here was to prove that Frumpyland is safe. Throwing himself over the edge proves that just the same as throwing Beth over would have. You're complaining about something that doesn't matter in the slightest. It's completely arbitrary.
Dad makes a toilet look like R2-D2 and it breaks the front page of Reddit.
Insinuating that Rick gives a Star Wars-sized shit about the front page of Reddit.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Oh, seriously? This hurts really bad!
In that case, you'd think he wouldn't wait until being taken to the nest to take out his gun and shoot the threat.
Rick was being jerked around, please nobody make an immature joke in the comments, by the pterodactyl thingy. Therefore, it would have been extremely difficult for him to draw his gun before being dropped in the nest.
No people saw these two people floating in people-sized bubbles and stopped to take a picture and or follow for the views of the people they would surely garner on social media.
Discount Jeremy forgets that he's watching a cartoon. The next two sins in a row are both completely pointless throwaway sins that I guess were meant to be jokes, but certainly weren't funny, so...
What's a smoothie?
First off, no one said yes. And second, anyone that does want a smoothie would also like you to put a little more effort into the recipe, and not just put every piece of rinded fruit you have into a blender.
Are you ignoring Jerry's character just so you can force a sin out of the episode? Yes. Yes, you are. Also, at the beginning of the sin, he mentioned how nobody said yes to the smoothie, but in the previous sin, he said that Jerry wouldn't need a reason to show off his powers at all. He would just do it to impress his kids. So, which is it? Does he not need a reason, or does he need Morty and Summer to say they want a smoothie? Stop contradicting yourself, my guy.
Also, Summer and Morty both just stand there and watch Jerry not putting the top back on the blender without screaming, running, or voicing disapproval in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, they just watch their normal-ass father use magical powers to put the fruit in the blender. They're not exactly focused on the smoothie-making process.
I'm sure you noticed what she has 3 of, but guess what she has 2 of?
Is a thing that Jerry just said to his children.
And is also a thing that you felt the need to point out to us, thereby wasting even more of our time. I mean, I have eyes and ears, so you didn't need to tell me that, but I guess it makes sense considering the average IQ of a TVSins subscriber.
Are you saying Tommy survived here by having sex with fruity creatures, creating fruity human hybrid offspring, and then consuming their proteins, sustaining himself with an endless cycle of cannibalistic incest?
Writers suddenly realized their story's a hair too long and complicated for the show's 20-something minute runtime, so they ham-fist the episode with a bunch of quick-witted exposition wrapped in a plot reveal so disgusting, we feel the need to go wash our hands during the commercial break.
That's the joke.
Do you understand how serious Crutabulon soul bonding is?
Nope. And considering it doesn't come up for the remainder of the episode, it's probably not that big of a deal at all.
Doesn't come up for the remainder of the episode? So the entire scene where she chases them into the cave and tries to murder them never happened?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
She's got a hot bod like Chitara in Thundercats.
If the Thundercats exist in this cartoon universe, would they be considered cartoons? Or by the standards of their reality, would they be considered live action? And if a cartoon universe has its own version of cartoons, wouldn't those cartoons have to be one-dimensional? And what would that even look like? These are the kind of answers I watch Rick and Morty for, and...
I always find the theater is the best way to clarify things.
Somewhere in time, there's a 5th grade version of me watching a performance of The Crucible that would very much disagree.
And somewhere else in time is a version of you that's actually capable of understanding literally anything. But here we are.
I am hungry, and all I could do to pass the time is hump.
My dog's inner monologue somehow makes its way into the episode.
Leave him alone!
Gather round, gang! Dinner time!
Moments after Tommy has applied his seed, this animal births a new Froopy character, and unfortunately the rules of this episode place this sin in the category of meals being prepared too quickly to have been made in accordance with proper food safety measures.
Are there actually people out there in the real world who find this shit funny? I'd love to study their brains and find out what went wrong.
Alright, that's it. I'm out of here.
No one untied Rick's hands. He just slipped out of them to escape, so why not do this before watching the theatric retelling of Tommy's cringeworthy survival plan?
Because he wanted to know? Remember, Rick is a scientist, meaning that he constantly seeks answers to things he didn't previously understand.
Tommy's still in there rapping Muppets and eating babies.
Is a thing that Beth said in this episode.
I still have eyes and ears, bro.
Look at some of the shit you were asking me to make you as a kid. Ray guns?
Do they shoot rays or are they named Ray?
Skip?
Has it occurred to you that I asked you to make those things because I wanted you to spend time with me?
Has it occurred to you that your request for these items resulted in a father that actually made them, thereby encouraging your behavior?
Are you blaming a child for her father's shitty parenting? That's actually not surprising when you think about TVSins and CinemaSins track records.
And that's why one pussy plus two pussies makes a bunch of pussies.
A bunch? At most, this is a clouder, and you know it.
Stop talking. Be quiet.
Look, I'm not an evil person. I'm just not very imaginative.
But doesn't it take imagination to create the lie that your children were responsible for the breakup? I know Jerry makes no sense, but the writing of Jerry not making sense should make sense.
And your evidence for that claim? Look, I get that this was meant as a joke, but it wasn't funny like most of his jokes, so I can't just let it slide.
Wouldn't dare play the music in the background of this touching father-daughter working moment, mostly because it's a song about taking a shit, and the show is trying to make us think it's a metaphor for fatherhood.
It's called a joke, bud. You should take a page from Rick and Morty.
Do they have this t-shirt just laying around, or did they spend time making this? Because it's not easy writing on t-shirts. It takes a lot of time to get the lettering right.
Cartoon. Not supposed to make sense.
None of the Variks chose this moment of distraction to attack the warrior woman who slaughtered their kin yesterday.
As you can clearly see in this frame, they're terrified of her, so it kind of makes sense that they're cowering here.
By the way, that wasn't time travel. There were just a couple pizzas on the counter. I grabbed them.
Rick has to break the fourth wall to explain something so the internet doesn't explode with fan theories about what the insipid detail of Rick not waiting for pizza means in regard to what is and isn't possible.
Discount Jeremy points things out on the screen, cliche.
You can go ahead and keep that answering machine. Nobody really uses those anymore except for exposition on TV shows anyways.
Show cleverly writes its way out of an antiquated joke by expositing its own exposition. But still, exposition.
Discount Jeremy has a boner for sinning exposition. Also, he mentioned that it was clever, so Discount Jeremy sins something he likes, cliche.
A southern born and bred. I got sweet home Alabama buzzing all around in my head.
I'm right at home in Georgia.